All right, today we are getting into something heavy. It's a question that's super personal, ethically a total minefield, and it basically forces us to smash two of our biggest values against each other: individual freedom versus our duty to protect those who can't protect themselves. So yeah, let's just dive right in. And look, we're not going to beat around the bush here. We're jumping straight into the deep end with a question that, honestly, we as a society almost never say out loud. And there's a good reason for that, because the answers are kind of terrifying, no matter which way you lean. So, there it is. Just sit with that for a second. Should you need a license to have a kid? I mean, wow. It's a huge question, and it's one of those things that instantly divides a room. You're either on one side or the other. And that's really the heart of the whole debate, right? It's this fundamental clash. On one hand, you have this deep, gut-level need to protect kids. But on the other hand, you have this fierce defense of personal freedom. So let's unpack both sides of this thing. Okay, so first up, let's look at the case for control. This is the argument that says, you know what, maybe some kind of regulation isn't just a good idea, maybe it's actually necessary. This whole perspective is built on one simple, if pretty uncomfortable idea: the kid's welfare has to come first, period. So the thinking here starts with a pretty straightforward idea. It is just plain wrong to bring a child into a situation where you know they're going to suffer severe harm. And the people who argue for this point to something they see as a huge double standard. Think about it. If you want to adopt a child, the process is intense, right? You've got background checks, home visits, people looking at your finances, all to make sure the kid will be safe. But to have a biological child? Nothing. Zero standard. And this is where the argument really starts to hit home for a lot of people. Just look at all the other things we have rules for in society. You need a license to drive a car, you have to be a certain age to consent to medical treatment. But for parenting, which is, let's be real, probably the most important and difficult job in the world, we have absolutely no minimum standard. None for your emotional stability, financial situation, or anything else. And it's not just about one kid either. The argument gets bigger. We all know that horrible things like trauma, addiction, and abuse can become cycles. They get passed down from parent to child over and over again. So from this point of view, having no rules around who can have kids isn't just about freedom. It's potentially allowing these cycles of suffering to continue, generation after generation. And the last point for this side is about all of us, as a society. Because when a child suffers because of terrible parenting, that doesn't just happen in a private little bubble. We all bear the cost. It's our social services, our hospitals, our justice system that have to pick up the pieces. So it raises this really tough question. At what point does someone's individual freedom become our collective problem? And this quote, it really sums up the whole case for control perfectly. It completely flips the script on what we think of as freedom. It suggests that freedom without any responsibility isn't really freedom at all. It's just negligence. And that is a really powerful and, honestly, a pretty unsettling idea to sit with. Okay, so that's one side. Now let's flip it completely and look at the counter-argument. And trust me, this side is just as passionate. And it's built on a value that's just as fundamental: the absolute, untouchable idea of human rights. And this right here, this question, is the one that just blows up the whole case for control for a lot of people. Because, okay, fine, let's say we have standards. Well, who decides what they are? Who gets to enforce them? A government committee? Some group of so-called experts? And I mean, what happens when they make a mistake? Because they will. And the scary part is, we don't have to imagine what that would look like. History has already shown us. And the answer is absolutely chilling. Every time governments have tried to control who can and can't have kids, it has led to some of the worst atrocities in human history. Think eugenics. This is that classic slippery slope argument, and it's so powerful because it's not just a theory, it's happened before. It's the fear that you might start with something that sounds reasonable, like, let's just stop the most severe cases of abuse. But where does it stop? Pretty soon that could slide into targeting people based on their IQ or how much money they make or their race or what they believe, and history shows us that slope is very, very slippery. Then there's the core human rights argument. It says that the ability to have a child isn't a privilege the government gives you. It's a fundamental part of being human. And the moment you start putting conditions on that, you start dehumanizing people. You turn having a family into something that's only for the worthy, the ones the government approves of. And this side doesn't just argue against control, it offers a totally different solution. The argument is, we're focusing on the wrong thing. Maybe the problem isn't that certain people are unfit to have kids. Maybe the problem is that we live in a society that doesn't support families enough. So instead of trying to police who has kids, why not pour all that energy and money into things like better health care, mental health support, education, and fighting poverty? The idea is fix the system that families live in, don't try to fix the people. And this quote just nails that idea. It's a powerful reminder that the answer to broken systems isn't to start policing people's bodies. The answer is to build better, more supportive systems in the first place. So there you have it. Two really strong, really logical, and deeply ethical arguments that are just completely at odds with each other. And that's what makes this so hard, right? Because most of us, if we're being honest, don't fit perfectly into one box or the other. We're stuck in this really uncomfortable place in the middle. And this really breaks down those impossible choices you have to make. What's more important to you, protecting children or protecting freedom? What are you more afraid of, preventable harm to a kid or the start of tyranny? Is it about our responsibility as a group or the rights of the individual? The tough part is you can't have 100% of both. Something has to give. I feel like this quote is where most of us live. It just captures that inner conflict perfectly. You can look around and think, yeah, not everyone should be a parent. We can all probably think of an example, but then the second part hits you. But I don't trust anyone to be the one to decide. And that's the whole problem in a nutshell. So, what do you do with a problem that feels impossible? Well, to finish up, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to take away that comfortable middle ground. We're going to force a choice, because when you're forced to choose, that's when you find out what you really value most. All right, here they are, laid out as plainly as possible. Option A. You are okay with limiting who can have children in order to protect kids from predictable, awful suffering. Or, option B, you protect the absolute freedom to have children, and you accept that a tragic consequence of that freedom is that some kids will inevitably suffer horribly. For this exercise, there is no option C. It's one or the other. And so that is the question we want to leave you with. If you were forced, absolutely forced, to choose just one, which world would you pick? And more importantly, why? There's obviously no easy answer here. This is a core tension, a battle between two values we hold sacred, and we all have to constantly figure out where we stand. So, what price are you willing to pay? And what principle are you just not willing to give up?